Hey gang, I'm going to talk about my recent build, which is the Blackout Super Mini H, which is right here on the left. Just want to quickly talk about some of the potential pitfalls you could have possibly building this, and maybe some confusion as well. Just to let you know up front, the Super Mini H is merely the same standard Blackout Mini H quad with extended arms, and it gives it the ability to put on 6-inch props. So we'll talk about that a little bit in just a moment. But a couple of people have asked me during the build process what the difference is between the hex and what they would recommend possibly flying. I've seen some people just quickly state that the hex is probably better for more long distance flight. I mean, I would also agree. There's a couple different things. With obviously extra 2 motors, you're going to get more power. It really depends on the type of motors you have on the quad as well, but essentially you typically get more power, which means you possibly can go through a battery a lot faster. But the hex also has the ability to have a larger battery. On this I have the Turn-G 2200 mAh. I would say that the Mini H or even the Super H is probably more agile, but you also have the ability to do a lot of acrobatics with the hex. Probably because of the weight difference, you could probably get away with flying in windier conditions with the hex. But I mean, I truly love flying the shit out of the hex, and I have a lot of fun with it. Just as much fun as I had with my previous Mini H. And so far I've been testing this out the last couple of days, and the Super H is a blast. So a couple of things about the standard Blackout Mini H frame versus the standard versus the Super H. Here you have the Super H, which is basically 260 millimeter from motor to motor, which gives it a little more width as far as the quad would go, but not enough where if you're still trying to fly through some close quarters, you're still going to be able to do it. There's not much of a difference. When you can see here, these are the the smaller arms here, which allow for 5-inch props. You're probably talking maybe a total of 1 inch width-wise that you gain by flying a Super Mini H versus a standard H. I would say one of the benefits of putting larger props is obviously going to be the vertical thrust. A 6-inch prop will obviously give you much more power, and you can probably see that in some of the videos I'm going to get to in just a minute. I've had a chance to test out a couple different versions with the Mini H quad with the smaller standard arms, and also Gemfan props, HQ props, and then the HQ 6x4.5. So quickly, a couple different things or specs about my build. The battery here is actually a 1300 mAh, which I find a little small. I took it out for a test spin the last 2 days with the 6-inch props, and got about 5.5 to 6 minutes where I felt comfortable taking it down. Probably a little too small. I've already ordered an 1800. This is a zippy compact. I like the Turn-G batteries like I have on the hex. I think it's pretty good. The one thing I don't like about the hex, but I won't change the way it flies, is the battery on the bottom. Excuse me. I've gone through about maybe 3 or 4 batteries, some rough crashes. That's one of the things you run, potentially having the battery on the bottom. But trust me, there's nothing that says you're not going to crash a Mini H with the battery on the top. That's certainly possible as well, and I've damaged the 3S batteries plenty of times and gone through those. I think it's just one of those hidden taxes of flying a quad at 30-40 miles an hour against objects. As close as you can to objects, you're eventually going to hit something on the ground, which could be kind of unforgiving at times. But this again, 1300 mAh battery. I guess the standard definition is 4S battery with motors that can support a higher ESC and then 6-inch props. I've gone with the KISS 18A ESCs, which I had a really difficult time with these. I've gone through a number of them, probably about 7 or so on the build. 2 companies I was getting the ESCs from was viacopter.eu and Flyduina, who are both great as far as technical support or even replacing them. These 2 on the right are actually one I believe to be DOA when I received it. This here is actually a blown motor. Got the magic smoke from this motor here. You can see these ESCs, the pads on the right are actually where you solder it. Extremely challenging if you're not tenured at soldering. If you don't have plenty of experience, it's certainly not something you want to learn to solder on. And so a couple of these have actually been blown. To my own admission, it could certainly have been my fault because it's tight quarters as far as soldering. Some of them I do feel are faulty, but you know, you're talking $25 a piece plus shipping from Europe. The KISS ESCs, you know, I certainly don't know as much as other people. There's an amazing technical support on RC groups, even the people that actually sell them. The engineers, they can certainly answer questions. I find it an amazing ESC, and I think the payoff just in the last 4 or 5 days of flying them are certainly worth all the aggravation. And I've had people tell me that leading up to the finish of the build. But I would definitely agree. I think what they consider the regenerative braking, you know, you can tell from just punching the throttle and stopping, and it's certainly pretty cool and amazing to fly with. So as far as the rest of the build, these were the original motors that I had gone with. These are Tiger Motors MN2204 2300 kV. After starting the build and actually blowing 1, possibly 2 of them, I had learned that there could possibly be some magnet slippage issues with the KISS ESCs. So I decided to actually just upgrade the Tiger MN 2206 and 2000 kV. I know there's also Cobra motors also have the MN 2208, but I've heard there's been some issues in the last month or so. So a lot of people are flying those on the Blackout 330 frames. I've heard some mixed reviews on them, but so far I'm pretty happy with these. I don't know if there'll be any potential slippage issues down the road, but I guess I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. You know, just to quickly tell you a little more about the build here, you know, Acro Naze32. I am using Spekrtum receiver and transmitter, not PPM, so you can see just a mess of wires in there. I will certainly clean this up, but I think I just got so frustrated with waiting for the ESCs and replacement motors, kind of just rushed it together at the end. But I eventually will just hook up the Spekrtum satellite receiver directly to the FC, so that'll lighten it up a little bit. Let's see. I will tell you, I actually needed no tuning at all. I started off with the Gemfan 5030s and really had no issue from the very beginning. I basically put on the props, standard PIDs for the board, and it took off, flew like a gem. When I went to the HQ props, the 5040s, same thing, didn't need to tune it at all, had very slight oscillation, but just in the last day or two when I put on the 6-inch props, I've had a good amount of oscillation, so you'll see from a video in just a minute, or I will certainly go in and be doing a little tuning over the weekend to kind of get rid of that final oscillation. But that's what's amazing about the Acro Naz board, and I did use base flight to do my tuning. The Super Mini H is definitely an amazing quad to fly. You know, Blackout is certainly time-tested, It's known for its durability. One of the reasons I think I was attracted to the Blackout brand is also the community support and involvement on some of the forums. Completely put together through help on the forums. I mean, the people there are wonderful, and I certainly couldn't have built either one without their support. So, you know, the Blackout community has amazing support. The frames, I mean, I've hit the pavement at doing 25, 30 miles an hour, and you know, this is carbon fiber. Probably, this one right here probably weighs a little more, probably about 550 grams. I would just kind of conservatively say, because of some of the extra wiring and gear I have in there. This one is probably a little more. It's probably about, definitely at least 700, although I don't have the antenna on there now. But again, Blackout, amazing community, very durable frames, time tested. Not the cheapest product, but you know, I will say you get what you pay for. And if I'm going to be, you know, basically putting a $700 lawnmower in the air, I want to make sure that when it comes tumbling down or hits something hard, that I don't have to build all over, which I've done in the past. I've had quads that I've crashed and snapped the frame, and here I am starting over from scratch. I don't think you'd find that with the Blackout frames. So anyways, that's my quick review of the Blackout Super Mini H. Hope you guys enjoyed. Take care.